Speaking of creators, we had actually a surprising announcement last week, Chris. Is that right?
Very surprising.
Yeah, very surprising. A brand, a publishing company that we actually were really on board with. They launched their first series, which is ENIAC, early this year. They've been around maybe for 6 months officially. They were supposed to come out before the pandemic. They didn't, but they announced they're ending. I'll read this here. We regret to inform you that despite our best efforts and all of your wonderful support, Bad Idea, as we know it must end, our sincerest thanks for the incredible journey. We will be announcing and releasing books through the end of the year. Beyond that, Bad Idea is over. That was really shocking. Chris and I, we talked about this last week in the news. So that, we had to get in touch. So luckily enough, we were happy to, our next guest is a co-CEO of Bad Idea. He has a wide-ranging career in comics as an editor from Marvel, editor-in-chief of Valiant, and currently the co-CEO of Bad Idea. He has had his hands in shaping many amazing characters and universes. Please welcome tonight Warren Simons, co-CEO of Bad Idea. Warren, thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, fellas? It's nice to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Really appreciate you here. Normally with our guests, we like to get to know you, from your start into comics and, all the way your other interests. Obviously, you're, as we discussed, you're a New York fan, Knicks. Again, my Sixers are playing right now. I have to be transparent and honest. I do have that game on my iPad. They are currently up 78-74. I'm going off track here. Rein it back in, Chris. Rein it back in. Let's talk Bad Idea because this is shocking, disappointing, and just surprising. We love I'm loving your book so far. Chris is as well, and I do believe a majority of our audience as well. Chris, just take it away.
Absolutely. All right, Warren. So, like Jeff said, we were prepared to sit here, get to know you, and just have a jolly old time. But hey, we got to get a little serious because I think we have a lot of folks watching right now that, for the last week are really just like, what's going on? So we got to get right to the meat of it. With this announcement, concerning Bad Idea, I just got to go right in and say, what's the deal? What is the deal? Can you provide us and our viewers any context? Is this just the doom and gloom? Bad Idea is over, period, we're done.
Well, we're not your typical comic book company. I'm sure as you guys know, we do things a little bit differently. We're only in about 250 comic book shops. We don't do variants. We don't do digital. We've built a company which is sort of atypical. We're not trying to sell as many comics as possible to as many people as possible. We're just trying to build slowly. We're trying to build for what we thought was the long term. But based upon the last couple of weeks, I'm not so sure. We just announced that we're Bad Idea as we know it. Our final 5 books have just come out, or we just announced them, I should say, yesterday. We have 5 new books from some pretty kick-ass creators coming. And we just opened up to pre-ordering all of them on Wednesday. We saw a lot of good responses there. But, we're just kind of playing it by ear. It's working in the North American direct market, trying to sell comics, trying to compete with companies like Marvel and DC. It's we did that for 10 years at Valiant. I was the editor-in-chief of Valiant from about 2011, 2018. I worked there with Dinesh, with Hunter, with Josh Johns, with Adam Freeman. And, we've been in a salt mine for like 10 years, digging for oil, trying to figure out how to get people to buy comics that, to be honest with you, you have to explain to people why X-O Manowar or Bloodshot is as good as Wolverine or Batman. And that could be a real uphill slug from month to month. So this time around, we're kind of doing it a little bit differently. We're kind of just having a little bit more fun, trying to take it a little bit more easier. And we've seen just a crazy level of success for the past 6 months. I think we came out in March or April was our launch of ENIAC, and then we launched Whalesville and Tankers, and we've seen a lot of success. But we'll see what happens after these final 5 are over. I think that it might all finish up. We'll see. We announced that it's coming to an end, and we'll go from there, man. We're kind of playing a little by ear.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question, Chris.
That's
I
right,
just want to step in because that's very ambiguous. The kind of answer you gave. It's like bad idea's over, but maybe we'll see. So, as a fan, I'm talking for me specifically, and I'm sure there's plenty of audience members in there that feel the same way as this. Yeah. But as a fan, should we feel sad? Should we feel sad inside right now? Because I want to see these.
No, don't feel sad. Don't feel sad. This is a celebration. It's a beautiful moment. It's like a concert. You go, it's on, it's awesome. Maybe drink a couple of beers, you know what I'm saying? Hang out with some friends, and then it's over and you go home. You don't feel bad about the concert, you know what I mean? Maybe.
But you feel bad about the band breaking up.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, their solo careers, they're reunion tours.
Okay.
Get back together in time. We'll see. It's hard to say.
Lots of avenues to take here. So let's, and we are gonna. I want to give everyone watching, whether watching live or on the replay, the opportunity to really dive into, knowing how they can get their hands on the final 5. But before we actually go into each of these books and how to do that, so looking at them though, with the final 5, Bad Idea is going to have books that are going to be able to be purchased because they're going to be released through at least the end of the year, correct?
Yes. Everything will be. We just announced 5 new books. We could walk through them if you want, but we announced a weekly book, which we announced 5 separate books: Monster Kill Squad, Odin's Eye, Monsters Kill Squad. So we can take them one at a time. Monster Kill Squad is by my buddy Christos Gage. Christos is an awesome writer. He's done Spider-Man. He just launched that Fortnite book. He did Ninjak for us over at Valiant. And Tomas Giorello, who's just an absolute force of nature. And the idea here is basically that there have always kind of been like attacks from supernatural creatures, from cryptozoids, like on occasion, like a forest witch might eat a couple of campers, or a ghost might haunt a house, but it was rare. But what's happening now is the attacks have increased 100-fold. So the U.S. government puts together a strike team called the Monster Kill Squad. Yes, they kill monsters. And this is going to be a 4-issue limited series by Tomas and Christos. The art here is just off the hook. Tomas is one of my favorite pencilers that I've ever worked with, an absolute genius. So that's the first one that we got coming out.
I just want to say the interior art on that looks incredible. Yeah,
Tomas is he's just one of the finest pencilers I've ever worked with. He relaunched Exo First in 2017. I think that when I was at Valiant, I think that wound up being the biggest independent comic book of the decade, not named The Walking Dead. I think we sold like over 90,000 copies or something. It was or at least number one. It was a big hit for us, I should say. So Tomas is just an absolute beast, an absolute monster. So this is one that we have coming down the pipeline. We're pretty excited about that. We've got 4 other books coming out. I don't know if you guys want me to walk through all of them, but how you want to do.
Yeah,
sure. Odin's Eye will be a weekly book that we're launching. This is going to be coming out in December. This is going to be 5 issues. The first issue will be double-sized. I think we have something like 50, 60, 70 pages in the first issue. It's going to be an absolute beast. This is by Joshua Dysart. Joshua launched Harbinger back for me in 2012 when I was at Valiant. He's just an incredible talent. Launched Unknown Soldier for Vertigo. He's done Swamp Thing. He's done a lot of. He's a really talented writer. He did Harbinger Wars for us. He's a buddy, and the story here is that Odin wants his eye back. Famously in mythology, Odin traded his eye for wisdom, but maybe he thought he got a little bit of a raw deal. So he wants his eye back, and the way that we discover this is through this 12, 13-year-old Scandinavian girl named Solveig in about the year, I think it's the year 500, the year 600, and we begin to see that she has these visions that are bestowed upon her by the gods, and it sort of sets her on a path where the entire village is curious about what's happening with why she's getting these visions, why is the Allfather talking to her. And we go on a big adventure here, also by Tomas. This one is one of the first books that we began to work on. We started working at Bad Idea a couple of years ago. Tomas finished it up. We had 6 in the can. We're putting double-sized first issue together probably, and then we're going to go from there. So this one's a monster as well. Really going to be some of the pretty started on the stands month in, month out. And this is weekly in December. We're doing a weekly book. So from start to finish across the board, everything that we have in the can will be published. We will not be going away before everything that we've announced, I should say, will be published. So there's no doubt about that.
And let me ask, so are all the final 5, are they limited in terms of story arcs, or are we going to be left hanging with any stories like up in the air and it's like, oh no, like your favorite TV series ending at the end of a season on a cliffhanger?
I think everything should, for the most part, be there'll be stuff that you'll want to see that comes after, there'll be stuff that you'll want to see that comes before, but all the books that we put together, there'll be a tasty little treat in themselves. There should be a complete story there in all of them that gives you a feeling of satisfaction when you're done with it. I think so, for sure.
By the way, everybody, enter your. I see a few questions for Warren here. Continue to throw your questions up in the comments. We'll get to as many as we possibly can. But continuing on, let's talk about another release.
Oh, I just clicked on the comments. I see the comments now. All right. Yeah, we have Refuse, which is by Matt Kinn and Marguerite Sauvage. Marguerite is a brilliant storyteller. She did a bunch of comics for us at Valiant. She worked on Faith with us. Marguerite's like if you go to her website and you take a look at it, you'll see that she's like a fashion designer as well. Her sense of design is extraordinary. Her eye for color, composition, character design, just fantastic. And the story here revolves around a character who wakes up on an alien planet. She doesn't know how she got there. She's by herself. And basically, she has to go on a journey of discovery and survival on this alien world to keep herself alive and to figure out a mystery of how she got here. The book is absolutely stunning. Marguerite's pages are amazing. Matt Kinn, who's one of our go-to guys and is an awesome writer, wrote this story for Marguerite. And then this will be part of our Bad Idea double shots. And then the other story in that, which is 2 full issues in a single issue, is Last Resorts by Mark Russell, who's a fantastic writer. This is the first time that we're working together. Mark's brilliant. His scripts are amazing. And this story is basically, I believe Mark put on Twitter that it's basically if the teleportation devices in Star Trek were invented under the guise of American capitalism. So that could be what it take. It's offbeat, it's funny, it's irreverent. And Polina, who's absolutely a monster, is drawing that. So we got Last Resorts and Refuse. And then we've got Pirate Queen, which is by Peter Milligan and Adam Polina, and with coloring by Tamara Bonvillain. This one is an absolute beast. It's about a pirate named Monday Ryan. I believe she was born on a Sunday, but her dad was so drunk he thought it was a Monday. She's a pirate on the high seas. She gets captured by the British Navy. Her and her crew are about to be executed. We discover that she's pregnant. The British had a rule where they would not execute a pregnant woman. So they set her adrift at sea after killing her crew. And she vows vengeance, and she vows to kill everyone responsible for killing her husband and her crew before the baby's born. So we sort of have a pretty cool ticking clock there, and she goes on a journey to seek vengeance. That's our 4th one. And then we have Passive Aggressive, which is by David Lapham. This is by Matt Kinn and David Lapham. This is a story that you guys will want to keep your eyes on. If you were able to get a hold of a redemption sticker when you ordered the Bad Idea bundle, you may want to wait until you see the news about Passive Aggressive and hold on to that one before you use it. But this one's going to be something kind of special. The basic idea here is what happens if Russian hackers accidentally hack the Batman. It's sort of our version of Batman. It's going to be a character that we're creating called the Watch. But
cool.
If someone stole Batman's identity and he was a little bit more of a psychopath, what steps would he take to seek vengeance? It's sort of a victimless crime, but you kind of have Batman saying, no, it's not. So those are the 5 that we just announced. I don't know if that's the longest that anyone's talked in a row on your podcast, but it's probably close. But those are the 5 books that we have. We're pretty excited about it. We think it's a good slate.
Yes. I love it.
Now we need. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted there.
No. I was going to say the pound for pound. I think the art that we have coming out is among the best in the biz. So I'm pretty excited with what we're doing here.
It is incredible art now, but we do have to rewind the tape and talk about the sticker here because you kind of subtly put that in there because a lot of people are like, well, what do we get here? Like, you guys are ending. Come on. How are you making this? How are you giving us an incentive? By the way, I'm pretty sure each of those shops gave away their 10, the bundle packs. They gave away those 10 stickers because it was the first 10 people to get the bundle pack at the stores get these stickers that are redeemable for something. And you said, Warren, to keep an eye out for passive aggressive because this is something that people are going to something related to that, right? That they're going to get something.
Listen, I've been warned that people will, to hire someone to come to my house if I tell you guys what's happening. So I got to keep it real.
All right. Well, we appreciate the tease. Not sure if it's an exclusive. We like exclusives, but we do know how ruthless Dinesh is, and we want to protect your safety, and we don't want you or your family in any danger.
It's not really Dinesh. It's Josh Johns that you got to be careful.
He's a bruiser. He's a bruiser. He's a bulldog. He's also a Georgia bulldog too, right?
Not messing around.
Yeah. John, okay. All right. We'll help protect you and your family. Kind enough to come on here and give us at least that news. But this is super exciting stuff. I do want to maybe, Chris, before we get to another one of your questions, we'll ask a question from the audience here. Do you think that by shortening distribution hurt you in the short run?
No, not at all. Look, the reason why I bring up Valiant and working at Valiant with the guys for, the better part of 7-8 years is because, if a store doesn't trying to convince someone to carry a comic they don't want to carry, like, it's cool. Like, it's not good for the store. It's probably not good for us. Like, the kind of retailers that we want to work with are the retailers who are going to be invested in a new publisher. We built this business really with the retailers. When I see something online about, us being rough with the retailers or something like that, it's really the opposite. Like, the retailers are our backbone. They're sort of the spine of everything that we do. We have nothing but the utmost respect for our retail partners. And we built our business with stores that we feel will say to a customer, like, hey, check out Pirate Queen #1. This is really good. That will appeal to customers that are not just looking for the X-Men or Batman every month. I love the X-Men and I love Batman. And there are shops that 90, 95% of their business are those books. And that's great. But we don't need to sell into those stores, and those stores don't need to sell us. And we're not trying to be something that everyone has. We're not trying to be everyone's favorite comic. We're not trying to be the Avengers or Spider-Man or Batman. We're just trying to do what we do. And for that to work, we really need our retail partners to take an interest in us and to help sell us. And to, that's really where we are. So shortening this, having fewer stores has actually allowed us to concentrate more on the books. It's allowed us to, not having variant covers means that I don't need to commission 20 covers every month and 4 variants a book. I don't need a 1 in 100. I could just focus on one piece of art. So from the editorial side, that's been a really, really helpful.
Definitely. That's a great question, PK. One more question here. I want to ask about the intriguing black and white backup stories in ENIAC. Are they one-offs, possibly connected? I feel like it might be an embryo of a larger world.
It is. It very much is. The hero trade is. We started. Matt Kane kicked this off when we released our. When we sent a black and white comic to a bunch of different stores under the name of Buttoned Up Comics, kind of having a little bit of fun. We didn't expect it to become one of the most sought after comics in the industry, but it has been. We're seeing sort of slab 9.8s going for like $2,000 on eBay.
Crazy.
It's become crazy. But that story is about a guy who somehow gets a hold of a Superman type character, and he's selling pieces of this guy's body out of his trunk. It's a little bit dark, but it's a little bit more of a Tarantino-esque Elmore Leonard kind of take on the superhero genre, sort of leaning into the underbelly of that world, violent crime in superheroics, which you really don't see all that frequently. But Passive Aggressive, which is coming out from Lapham, with that character, the Watch, is sort of a Batman archetype. That all takes place in the same sort of hero trade world. So those are all stories from the hero trade. And this is the first time we're sort of doing a longer form story as opposed to an 8-pager. But yeah, those are all connected.
I'm going to actually have a follow-up question. And I know Chris has a few too, but because we had Dinesh on, I guess a couple months ago, and we asked him about that. Will his bad idea connected universe? And he was very, here we go again. He's back. And we were very, he was very kind of coy about that. So you can confirm that the hero trade and this Passive Aggressive are connected, does that lead into other connectivity within your other properties?
We'll see about that. But right now, the hero trade is sort of what you might call those stories are related. Those stories are all part of a broader sort of hero trade universe. But whether that sort of trickles out into the broader Bad Idea universe is something that we're keeping under our hats just for now. We'll tap into that a little bit later down the road.
That's fair. And by the way, I'm trying to coordinate the dog to chill out, but I think he's done a good job. As the wheel to the Peloton bike has been chewed off completely. Chris, I know you.
Yeah. Yes.
Go for it.
All right. Yeah. I have something that's just been on my mind, and that I've seen a lot of people talk about, coming on social media. As soon as you guys made the announcement last week, you had everybody in the YouTube community talking about it, from Comic Tom to Reggie Collects and so forth. And one big thing that kept being brought up was a couple months back, Dinesh did an interview on a podcast where he was specifically asked. Now, I don't have the quote verbatim, but he was basically asked if Bad Idea would ever change their name and if they've ever, had the conversation about that happening. And he said, "Oh yeah, we thought about that." And then the interviewer responded with something along the lines of, "Oh, so what are you going to do? Just tell everyone that it's over?" And then and Dinesh, having a lot of fun, said, "Oh yeah, sure, we could do something like that or whatever." So I got to bring that up to you here today and say, was Dinesh just happening to talk about hypotheticals, or was there some type of truth in what he was saying then that is connected to the possible changes moving forward?
I think that Dinesh is my partner in crime, my brother in the comic book world, as it were. So I'm not sure. I haven't seen that particular interview per se. Maybe I'll dodge it like a politician. So I haven't. But we'll see, man. We're over the moon with how the response has been. When we were first talking about this thing, like last year, a couple of years ago, when we first started this, we didn't know if we'd sell 1,000 copies, 2,000 copies. We didn't know if we'd sell 500 copies. We didn't know if anyone would be interested at all in what we're doing. We know that we have great creators. We know that we have, great books and great stories. We're confident in that. But you guys know as well as anyone that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It doesn't mean it's going to lead to success in any capacity along those lines. So we'll see where we go from here, man. I think it's still very much up in the air, but I do think that Bad Idea as we know it is probably not going to return in this particular guise. I will say that.
Very coy, very coy, very coy. Hey, what if they create another company connected to Bad Idea in its universe? I'm onto these guys.
I like it.
Your collector, aka the bearded one.
I like it. That's a good idea. Hang on a second. There we go. We'll see.
Hey guys, we only have a few more minutes with Warren here from Bad Idea, so please get your questions in. Yeah, again, like the creators you guys have put together, it's an all-star creative team for these books. Like you had me with ENIAC, with Louis LaRosa, like unbelievable like covers and just the tankers cover with the. I know ENIAC had it too, with the gloss and the matte. Like you guys really you guys really went all in. And I can't remember what the grade is on the thickness of the paper of the cover, but another little small thing to just bring this high quality. And again, another reason for me personally to be like, what? Oh man, I was really, really pushing for, oh, by the way, Azorius Tigers, he's already, our good friend Eric, he's already mentioned Sleigh Bells 2 or 3 times during this whole thing. He's pumped about Sleigh Bells. He wants.
Dude, I just sent Sleigh Bells to the printer this week, and it is just vicious, bro. You're gonna love this, man. Santa Claus goes nuts. He just goes on a fucking tear, bro.
I have to say, Dinesh was like, I did not want to do that one, but Warren convinced me to do it. So we can see the passion you have for this. And
yeah.
I already got it on pre-order. I know Eric probably does as well, probably in multiple areas around. This guy, he gets crazy gets. Anyways, so yeah, Sleigh Bells is exciting. But anyways, the care and the thought you guys all put into these books, it's just incredible. I held that Tankers copy in my hand. I'm like, this is just gorgeous. And obviously, not every comic publisher, actually, I don't know many that do this, but you do this with all of your books. And it takes a special group of people to take a chance like that, to not be out there and doing, getting millions of copies out there. Well, not millions, but 100,000 or whatever, but getting these beautiful copies. And I know it was well received. So again, that's yet another reason why people are just like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, we love comics, man. I mean, that's where we live. It's great to. I'm a huge Michael Keaton fan. I've watched Into the Spider-Verse 30 times. I love that movie. It's one of my favorites. I was listening to the news that you guys were doing. Like I love the comic film. I love the comic TV. But at the end of the day, for me, I'm an editor. I've got ink under my nails. That's where I've lived for the last 20 years. That's where I'll probably always live to a certain extent. So for us, just returning to the form, publishing, returning to incredible cover stock, MAC gloss, high paper quality, really treating the thing like it's a art object as opposed to a hamburger at McDonald's that you got to crank, 2 million out a day or whatever. We can build slowly. We can build, stories that we love. I can talk to my friend Zeb about a hunter accidentally plugging a Santa's reindeer, and we could rope La Fuente in it and give the guys time to really, work away at it and just not try to crash out 4 or 5 pages a week. So I think that hopefully cumulatively, that's something which will have been a component of a Bad Idea for sure.
Definitely. By the way, going back to Sleigh Bells, violence and Christmas always makes for a good story. X11 Bravo Comics. True. Die Hard 2. Great.
Die Hard 2. Yeah.
Great film. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for it. Chris, I do have one more question to ask before we let Warren go on his night. But Chris, I'll throw it to you. I think you may have one or two.
Yeah, I think I'm really good on the questions, but Warren, I just want to take the time. I tend to be a very deep thinker on things. I'm a businessman too. I went to school, earned a couple business degrees. So, when I sit and look at Bad Idea, and it's funny because I remember when we were first sitting with it and learning about it, and then we had Dinesh on, I had to really ask him, I don't understand this. And then he went into it, and I'm sitting here taking notes, right? And I'm like, yes, because I remember I was sitting with Jeff before we had him on, and I'm like, Jeff, this is and I'm like, but then I heard it all, and then I watched it all happen. I saw the reaction within the comic community, the good and the bad, right?
Sure.
And I just want to say, I have to make a statement before we let you go here. I don't know what the future holds. I do have faith personally. I have faith that there's going to be some type of evolution with the team at hand to where we see something continuing to be produced, whether it's under a different name or whatever it may look like. I'm hoping that something along these lines, maybe another branch from the tree, but taking in my love for comic books, what I understand in terms of business and marketing and all these things, the consumer end, behind the scenes end, I really, really appreciated everything that you guys put together. I think we're at a pivotal time in the comic book industry, where I think even the big two, Marvel and DC, they've been at crossroads for some years now, where they're having to pivot. I think the consumer base is understanding what they want more. That's why you see companies like Boom and their new titles, and then even DC Black labels like with the Nice House on the Lake and how well that was received. The horror titles, the different genres, all these different things, and all these different things happening, and they're not overshadowing the superhero genre. They're actually evolving the superhero genre, as you guys are proving with what you were just talking about with your hero titles. So again, wrapping this all in, and like Jeff said earlier in the interview, the way that you guys marketed this thing, even though there were so many people that took to a negative outlash, you guys really did tend to the speculator, the flipper, the hoarder collector, the reader. You tended to each and every audience within this market. You provided quality within the art on the pages, the story on the pages, and the quality of the pages themselves. So, you know, I'm really hopeful, you know, that you guys could keep doing something in the near future. I already have some of the final 5 pre-ordered myself. So I'm looking forward to them. And I want to thank you for coming on because, and I'm going to sit here and Jeff, we're going to come back to this because we're going to be watching, you know, we're going to be reading the final 5. We'll probably be showing them off for our Fresh from the Comic Shop. And then, you know, as the clock ticks down towards the end of the year, me and Jeff, we're going to be working and having our eyes on what's going on. So I'm really hoping that maybe, you know, in 2022, we could sit back with you guys and say, you know what, here we are now.
That was a good round, huh? No,
Yeah.
I appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you. I think part of this comes from, you know, having been in here for 20 years in the industry, having worked at Marvel, having worked at Valiant, you know, having worked with the guys at Valiant for so long. We see just how rapidly the industry is sort of changing, especially with the big two, some of the newer companies or some of the more independent companies. So, you know, finding a place to carve out and you know, hopefully the quality of the work always speaks to itself. But I appreciate that, man. It's a very nice thing to say.
For sure.
Yeah, you have 2 fans of Chris and I, like, and we're pretty critical when we see, you know, when we see bad quality, we'll call it out. And you guys absolutely delivered. I'd like to end on this from an audience member here with the perfect way to describe you guys. Mark Leneker, bad idea is kind of the Banksy of the comic book world. Deconstructionist off kilter keeps you on your toes. Well said, Mark.
Not bad. I'll take it. I like Banksy.
Well said. So, Warren, man, we thank you so much. We honestly wish you the best in whatever it is you guys are moving on to, even though things are a little bit ambiguous with Bad Idea, even though you said it's over. But we'll leave it at that. No more. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep talking about Bad Ideas when these final 5 keep coming out too. And we really appreciate the time.
Sounds great, guys. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Have a great night.
Take care.
Man, that was a great interview. I hope you all enjoyed this. I mean, I absolutely did. We've been talking about Bad Ideas since the beginning of this year, and it's absolutely a pleasure to get an inside view as to the co-CEO, Warren, you know, working with Dinesh and team on some great quality stuff that, again, I'm sad to hear that Bad Idea is ending, but I'm also hopeful for the future. It's kind of the vibe I got from this interview.
Right. I'm right there with you, you know, and I think, you know, and I was just in my, you know, final little speech there. I used the word pivot, and I really hope that this is a pivot because, you know, and I think Bad Idea can pivot like the best of them. You know, Bad Idea is pulling a Kobe Bryant right now, and, you know, just doing a pivot to get that buzzer beater to make some magic happen. That's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. More to come from Bad Idea no matter what, because they definitely have 5 titles that are coming out with a few issues each. So again, pre-order them. They all sound interesting, all of them, and beautiful artwork. Always beautiful artwork.